Hey guys, I'm presenting today on the painting Pragerstraße by the German painter Otto Dix, who was active during the periods of German Expressionism and Dadaism. This was made in 1920 and it's oil and collage on canvas. The painting is dealing with a few different concepts, mostly these four here. It's dealing with this complicated identity, mostly of um, the veteran of World War One, post World War One, a complication of identity, a feeling of alienation from society coming out of the war, the commodification of the body, and a rapidly changing civilization. Um, what are the effects of modernity on the individual? So we can start understanding these concepts by first just going through a formal analysis. Well, this is strictly looking at formal qualities, no identification of any shapes or bodies. This is a very chaotic image. Um, we have all these different um, objects just completely covering the frame. Um, there's not much room for space, empty space, and yeah, these lines are very sharp um, and chaotic. Look at this figure in the center here. It's mostly a square shape, but it's composed of these sharp, zigzagging lines. And it's also worth noting this confusing perspective. Um, we have this figure in the middle here. Um, what we would being placed where we would expect it to be in regards to perspective. But then we have this one down here that's moving in an awkward angle, positioned awkwardly. So this like lack of order is contributing to this sense of chaos as well. Um, there's some level of abstraction going on here. You know, we're not; these aren't natural bodies, um, and they're very roughly painted, and yeah, there's nothing really natural about it. That's something you see a lot in German Expressionism. And let's talk about the aesthetic qualities of this painting. I mentioned the chaos already. Um, this this painting has an overall feeling of anxiety to it. All these different parts of it interacting with each other in a chaotic manner, it brings forth this anxiety, and there's a sense of tragedy as well. Like I think that you can be sympathetic with this figure in the middle and recognize that it's been through something. We're not so sure yet what it's been through, but it's a hardened individual. Its eyes are, you know, sunken, um, and yeah, we can tell. Yeah, we can tell that there's been a tragic event or a series of tragic events, um, and it's not just affecting this one individual. This the whole scene is kind of constructed in this way. Um, moving on to iconographical analysis. This is when we can actually start identifying what we see in the image. So let's talk about this this figure in the middle here. Firstly, we can say comfortably, I think, that this is a man. We can tell by the beard. And I think we can also safely assume that this man is homeless, as he's sitting on the street, holes in his clothes. He's not really well kept. His beard's not well kept. He doesn't look that healthy. He's skinny. But let's also pay attention to his where his arm would be, his left arm. It's now just replaced by this wooden prosthetic arm, and his legs are also amputated, and now he's got peg legs. So given that, and we also look at this figure down here with the bottom half of the body, we can, with as prosthetics, we can assume that this man is that both of these men are World War One veterans, and they lost their limbs in the war and had to get these prosthetics. So we have this veteran sitting here. He's one version of the tragedy. Like this, he's part of the extreme end of the tragedy, and the soldier below him, he's more of like bourgeois. He's got nice clothes. But even then, look at him. He has to move by way of these sticks, and I mean, it's not even a proper wheelchair. So he's not living a happy, comfortable life. And then there's also this little girl who's more or less composed like a doll. Her body is also somehow tangled up with, I don't know, like look at her legs, they're facing inward. She doesn't look like a normal little girl. So the tragedy is not limited to this one veteran. And moving into socio-historical, I want to mention that in the back here we have these he's sitting in these storefronts with prosthetic limbs in them too, and in the top left, cosmetic products. So we know that post World War I, the cosmetic industry was booming, and there's been scholarly debate on the prosthetics that World War I soldiers got after the war, that having an impact on the boom of cosmetics. Like they can have, if the veterans can have their appendages, their bodies modified to be a new normal, so can women. And so the body was commodified post-war. And this is post World War I in Germany. So we know that in the Weimar Republic, Germany was, I don't want to say treated unfairly, but they took a hard fall after the World War I in terms of paying a ridiculous amount of reparations. And so the economic situation was not great. And it was just a very anxious period for German citizens. And we get that in this painting, I think, and especially anxious for the veterans of the war, whose lives were, altered dramatically by this new kind of war machinery and technology. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Sorry for being a minute over. Yeah, let me know what you think.